All right, this is part 2 of making a box. As you saw earlier, or my first video, rolled out a slab, cut my pieces out. So here's my pieces. The other thing I'm adding to this is I have a little piece of plasterboard here. I'm putting my box on building it on a plasterboard or a piece of plaster, so I don't have to keep picking the box up and moving it around. All right, so I'm going to score and slip the edges using my fork and my water. I'm going to put this on here like so. Push it up against there, making sure it's sticking. And in the kit, you'll have a little stick if you get the kit, or you can use a knife or a butter knife. And then push the clay into the edges like this, and then pat it into the side like this. Make sure you're getting good surface contact between your slabs. All right. Score and slip this piece. Again, I'm using a fork. A lot of times I like to use a serrated rib, but I'm using a fork because that works just as well. I'm going to put this on here, put a little slip on this edge. I scored and slipped all my edges. There we go. Push the clay into, make sure the pieces are getting good surface contact between the edges. That again I beveled earlier, 45 degrees, and that fits together to make what, a 90-degree corner. And I have another rib here, or you can use a stick or a ruler. I'm going to paddle the edges in like that, making sure they're sticking together well. There we go. Push the clay in here with my little wooden stick, my little trimming stick. Like there we go. Let's just do another one. Now in between the first video and this video, I let the slabs sit out, my pieces sit out so they dried. So that means they're stiffer, a lot easier to handle. So if I'm going to make a box, I'll usually make my slab a couple hours ahead of time. That way, they're nice and stiff and easier to handle, and they don't lose their shape. There we go. Ruler, do that. And also that makes it nice and flat. Push the clay into the edge here. There we go. And so I can move this. See, I don't have to move the box. I can just move my whole piece of my little board, or in this case, a piece of plaster. Score and slip that. Score and slip that. I'm scoring and slipping all the edges, so when I get it together, it'll be harder to score and slip them all. So I'm doing them all ahead of time. I'll put this here. Now all I have to do is put the top on it. And the top, if I put the top on, even though my clay is a little dry, it'll sink in. It'll slump a little bit. So rather than putting the top on now, I'm going to first fill the box with a paper towel. All right, and that'll help support the clay that I'm going to put on top. All right, there we go. Now that paper towel should be you really stuff it in there. Don't skimp on the paper towel, because the paper towel has to support the weight of the clay. So you want to have a nice, firm support for that. So you keep stuffing it in and stuffing it in. You might use a whole roll of paper towel if you're using paper towel from your kitchen or newspaper. I find paper towel works well because it's nice and soft. There we go. Now I'll take my last piece, score and slip it. You can see that using my fork. go. Beautiful. I'll lay this on here. Now I want my paper towel to stick up like that. I'm going to push down, have a nice support. Stick that paper towel in there, and then push this all together. All right, and there's my box. Now you could say, well, what about the lid? It's completely enclosed, isn't it? Well, I'm going to cut the lid off. This way, because I put the whole thing together and then cut the lid off, I'm sure my lid is going to be just the right size, as opposed to making the lid as a separate piece, which I used to do when I first started making boxes. That was a lot more work and a lot less accurate. There we go. I can flip it over, check the bottom, round out the edges, finish it off. Now your piece can have other different features on it. It could have, like I say, it could have a handle on it, right? It could have feet on it. Here's another handle. It could have little feet on it. You know, you could put all kinds of features on it. It'll be up to you, but there's the basic components of my box right now. And I'll look for the side I like the most and make that the top, as opposed to which side was originally the top. It doesn't matter, does it? Now when it comes to cutting the top off, I can cut it off in any way I want. Straight across, I'll do a zigzag. And if I do a zigzag, then what happens is that zigzag will actually key the lid in place. So it'll fit it, right? So I can do this. I'm just going to cut it like so. No, nothing fancy. No plans at the moment. See? So I want your lid to fit your box. This lid is going to fit the box because the way I cut it out, it keys it into the bottom. And there you go. Making a box 101. There's my lid. Eventually I'll take this out, clean up the edges, and there's my box. Now again, I can put little feet on this. You know, I can put a little handle on it. I can take some of my scraps that I have over here and fashion a handle if I want of some kind, right? It doesn't have to be fancy. Make a little knob on the top here. There we go. So, okay. So, there you go. There's making a box. We'll see how you do. Remember, let your slabs dry out a little bit. It'll be much easier to manage and cut. All right. Thank you.